Well, Stephen, this week marks the 10th anniversary of David Healy, Northern Ireland's record goalscorer in the men's game, being appointed the manager of Linfield. I was there that day when on the press conference, and it was a little bit of a shock because he was such a big name coming back to the Irish League. It's hard to believe, though. It's been 10 years. Can you recap David's time at Windsor Park for us?
And they said it wouldn't last. Yeah, when David Healy came in, he was a national hero because of all the great things he had done in the Northern Ireland shirt, scoring goals against England and Spain and everyone else, really. And once he became Linfield manager, he became a figure of hate instantly for some teams and some opposition fans. But he has been a success at Linfield Football Club. Anyone who says different just plainly isn't seeing what has happened at Windsor the last decade. So he's won 6 league titles, Keith. He's also won a couple of Irish Cups. He's also been successful in the County Antrim Shield and won the League Cup multiple times. He's got Linfield into playoffs in Europe on 3 occasions. And he has enjoyed most of it. It's fair to say that there has been ups and downs along the way because there has been disappointments. And incredibly, quite a few Linfield fans actually still think that someone else should be managing the football club, even despite all the trophies that David Healy has brought them. And at this moment in time, I have interviewed David. Obviously, you can see it online in the Belfast Telegraph. And he went into detail about how he got the job, quite extraordinary circumstances in many respects. And he's enjoying it, but he wants more. He wants to bring more success to Linfield. And for him, it's all about winning the league title. He was saying that, of course, he'd love to get into European group stages and all that. But the bread and butter is to win the Gibson Cup, and that is his aim every single season at Linfield.
I mean, you raised it yourself there about how not all Linfield fans, it isn't all Linfield fans, there's plenty of Linfield fans that love David Healy, but not all Linfield fans are on board with him. I find that, like you, strange considering the amount of success he's brought to Windsor Park. But you know that you'll talk to fans and they'll say that they don't find the style of football that he plays particularly attractive, or they maybe get frustrated with the formations or the team selection. You know, there's always a push. People don't like it when Kirk Miller, for example, plays at wing back because maybe his defensive side isn't as strong as his attacking side. How do you feel about that sort of accusation that Linfield should really win even more, should have won even more under David Healy? Because there's always that sense that Linfield, they should win the league every year.
Well, first and foremost, the majority of Linfield fans are behind David Healy. I think it would be a minority who are critical of him and who like to have a pop every now and again. The other thing about Linfield is this: they have to win every game. If they lose a game, it becomes a crisis at Linfield Football Club. I would also add, in terms of how the Irish League is going, it's much more competitive now than it was even whenever David Healy came in. For starters, you have full-time football teams. Linfield's one of them, Larne are another, Glentoran, and obviously Coleraine have become the latest one. So I think it's tougher to win trophies now than it has been in the past for Linfield. The other factor behind why fans maybe have this issue with Healy is when you're there for a long time, some fans get bored, even with success. It's a funny scenario, but it happens. And it happened to David Jeffrey and it happened to Roy Coyle. Both David Jeffrey and Roy Coyle brought staggering success to Linfield Football Club. But at the end of their time, some fans wanted them out. And that's just the way football clubs like Linfield work. But I would suggest that David Healy, the board don't want him out at this point in time, and as long as he keeps winning, they won't want him out. And he's been a winner so far, and if he maintains that, he'll have a job for Linfield for as long as he wants.
I suppose the gap in the CV is not having made the group stages of European football yet. And I think Larne making it a year ago kind of almost highlighted that. That's got to be a major ambition for David Healy and Linfield in general.
Well, I think it's a huge ambition for Linfield, and I know talking to Jamie Mulgrew, it's like the last frontier for him. He would desperately love to play in the group stages of Europe. Like I said, for David, I don't think it's his number one priority. Obviously, he would love to do it, and he's been very, very close, like 3 occasions getting to the playoffs. The draws perhaps haven't been particularly kind to him once he's got to that last stage. But you always think with Linfield there's a chance. And I would say if he stays there for another few years, Linfield could do it. But he's been building a few teams now at Linfield. So this is a team that's, maybe not as experienced as some of the sides that he had. Like when I think of the teams that he had back in the day, you had Andy Waterworth, Jimmy Callagher, Mark Stafford, obviously Kirk Miller and Jamie Mulgrew. They've always been experienced. They're still there, but those teams had steel about them, real great mentality. I think this team is almost like a new team in many respects. And he's had to replace a lot of top quality players, Shane Lavery being one of them, Joel Cooper being the latest. Like if Joel Cooper was playing against Shelburne, it might have been closer in the European matches this season. But I think it's obviously an ambition. But like I say, the league title's number one.
And of course, David came quite close to leaving Linfield last season. There were job opportunities across the water. Do you think that those sort of opportunities might come again for him?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Obviously, clubs have looked at him. Wraith Rovers wanted him big style, and he was seriously considering moving to Wraith Rovers at the start of last season. In the interviews that I did with David to mark his 10 years, he did say that he just didn't think it was the right time because at that point, Linfield were recovering from the sad sudden death of Paul Butler, and he felt that the club needed to be together, and he was really glad that he made that decision. But listen, while he is still being successful at Windsor Park, clubs in England and Scotland will continue to look at him. What I would say is David Healy is not a man who takes contracts lightly. And he has signed a new contract until 2028. So unless the offer from England or Scotland is a really, really attractive one with a good side, I could see him being there to 2028. But I'm going to say this, having spoken to him and having seen what his family have gone through with the abuse that he has taken at different times, I would be surprised if David Healy goes beyond that contract. I think 2028, that could be him finished with Linfield and saying, right then, I've done all I can here. I'm going to walk off into the sunset. And then, of course, you have the debate about who will take over from David Healy because they will be big shoes to fill.
And who do you think that successor might be? It's obviously we're talking a couple of years in the future, but do you think there's any standout candidates already emerging?
I think there's one standout candidate. And again, I would be surprised if this gentleman didn't get the job. I think Jamie Mulgrew will be the next manager of Linfield Football Club. I think from what I'm hearing, he's proven to be a brilliant young coach in terms of what he's doing at under 18 level. He's obviously doing his pro license. He has respect throughout the game. Loved at Linfield, and Linfield do have a reputation for appointing young managers. If you think about it, Roy Coyle was young, David Jeffrey was young, David Healy was young, and they've all had great success. And Jamie Mulgrew has the standing and the know-how, and from what I've heard, the coaching ability to take Linfield forward. So although it's a few years away, I will predict right now that when David Healy leaves Linfield, Jamie Mulgrew will be the next manager of that football club.
I've known Jimmy a long time, and he's very knowledgeable about football and an inspirational figure in Linfield history. But I suppose the question is, he doesn't have any managerial experience. That seems like that would be a huge risk for Linfield, but it's very much in the Linfield sort of their history to appoint somebody like that. David Healy hadn't managed before he took on the Linfield job. Neither had Warren Feeney. You go back years. Roy Coyle took the job in his late 20s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and David Jeffrey hadn't been a manager either. So, it's the Linfield way. And listen, those guys were a success. So what's to say Jamie Mulgrew couldn't be? He's one of the greatest players in Linfield's history. No question about that. And while we're talking about this, I almost feel as if we're saying cheerio to David Healy already. That's not the case. Like, David Healy still has a lot of work to do at Linfield Football Club, and will be determined to do it. But now that we're talking about it, yeah, I do genuinely think that Mulgrew will be next in line, and it would be the type of Linfield appointment that they've made in the past. And yeah, it would be fascinating to see him as manager. But David Healy, like I say, is not done yet, and no question in my mind, he's been a huge success. Listen, 6 league titles, Keith, multiple other knockout competition victories. That's some going at a time when Irish League is very, very competitive.
Going to put you on the spot. Will there be a 7th league title for David Healy this season?
Yes. Listen, I'm not going to sit in the fence. I hate doing that. So yes, I think there will be. Listen, I tipped them at the start of the season, but Coleraine are dangerous. Glentoran are dangerous, although Glentoran have just lost a couple of matches, and you know what that tends to lead to for Glentoran. They can somehow go in a slump, so they've got to get out of that quickly. But and Larne are an outside bet for me, but ultimately I think it's going to come down to Linfield, Coleraine and Glentoran, and experience could tell in the running. So yeah, I think there could be a magnificent 7 for Healy and for Linfield with him as manager.